Well, I'm back in the studio for the first time for a very long time. Um, I've been feeling kind of depressed, but it turns out that in fact my blood pressure has been extremely high. So I've started to cycle, and I've decided to do a painting. And what I'm going to paint is there's this lady on Facebook called Catherine Brighton, and she did a self-portrait, which is very, very good. And so I'm going to try and do, I got permission from her, I'm going to try and do the same portrait, obviously not a self-portrait. I'm going to spend about 3 hours doing it in oils on MDF. I always paint on MDF, 45 by 60 centimeter MDF. It's not going to be an accurate portrait. It's not going to be like a commission, because in 3 hours I haven't got the patience to meticulously get all these shapes in the right spot. This photograph is a bit washed out, more washed out than I usually work with. So a lot of the detail I'm going to have to guess, which is fine by me because I'll use my artistic license to do some guessing. And so let's take it away. Okay, for this exercise I'm going to use the Zorn palette, which is what I normally use these days. I don't know why this phone isn't focusing. And some cheapo paints, the Montmartre Mars Black, the Montmartre some kind of red. The label's gone. Anyway, it's a kind of a fire engine red, yellow ochre, and some titanium white. The brushes I use are this kind of thing, some old brushes, a half-inch brush from the local hardware store, an old flat, and an extremely old, it's about 40 years, 50 years old sable brush. That's what I'm going to be using. Okay, so I'm going to try and get rid of this washed out feel. So to do that, I'm going to, someone's trying to call me. I'm going to have a darker background over here to bring that light out, and there's light there. So it's all about contrasts. And as I said in the Facebook post, I think to create life in your painting, you want to have good contrasts without harsh transitions. So let's see what I can do. So I've moved my phone to my trusty homemade phone holder. Right, okay, and that seems to be working. So what I'll start doing is to roughing out this face. Okay, I'm just going to get some kind of generic brown, and I'm just going to, okay, I'm not going for accuracy with this thing. Now I choose a board which is 4 times the size of, roughly 4 times the size of an A4 sheet of paper. I always print out on A4, and so 2 A4s will fit in there with a slight margin, and there, so it's 4 times the area. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ignore the fact that it's not quite right. I'm looking at the negative spaces. The face is pretty well central on the board. It's going to go down there like that. There's this negative space here which kind of goes like this. The chin halfway on the board is about halfway on the nose. The nose is going to be down here somewhere. The chin is about a third of the way, or even a quarter of the way down the board. I'm obviously going to have to modify these positions. I want to get a bit of that neck in because I like the light on the neck. Okay, I need to actually recognise there is a margin there, otherwise I'm going to make the face too fat, and already it's looking, well, that's the outside of the hair, so let's just concentrate on the outside of the hair. The cheek is actually a little bit further in, the neck, so I'm looking at this negative shape here. It goes down there like that, there's a bit of a collar there like that. From the center line, there's that shape there. The hair comes around like that. The negative shape there is something like that. So look at this little triangle over here. It's a bit like that, and it disappears off the page. So look at the shapes, look at the shape of that forehead. As you can see, I'm working very fast, even faster than I normally work at. We said the nose is there, the eyebrows are going to be somewhere there, the hair is sort of there, the nose, so the eyebrows actually a little bit higher than that. The eyes are almost central in the board actually, so the eyes are going to be somewhere there, the nose somewhere there, the mouth, so it's something like that. When I say something like that, it's all very much subject to change. So what I like to do is to get paint on the board. I cover the board with paint as quickly as possible, because what you want is to get some idea of the various tones on the board. And in the first instance, I'm just putting, and I often do this, just straight yellow ochre. I use paints straight from the tube. I don't believe in using terps. Terps weakens oil paint. I use terps for cleaning brushes, nothing else. Nothing else. So that might end up being blue down there, I don't know. I'll use my artistic discretion. There you are. I should have a bit of music on actually. I like a bit of music when I'm painting. Now there's a curl over here, comes down over here. Let's darken that hair. Right, this paint is, I paint very thin. as well. I really push the paint into the board. This is 3mm MDF. I also paint on 3mm MDF, treated with something that's in Australia called bondcrete. It's something that they add to concrete to make it waterproof, and it does a similar function on the board. So as you can see, I'm really scraping it in. And what I'm looking at is, as I said before, all I've got to go on is the shapes. I did no marking out. So the eyebrow is sort of like something like that. I'm looking at this shape here. And goes there, something like that. And then the eyes, I'm very popular today. The eyes are around here. And what I do is work, so I'll cover the board. First up, cover the board with paint. Then work from dark to light. Alright, so now this paint is very, very thick. I mean, I'm not painting it thick, but the paint itself is thick. It's getting very old. So it's getting a little bit difficult to push on, even for me. It's a real workout for my arm. So I'm looking at my all the work I'm doing with my right arm, and I'm looking over at the picture. Notice how I've got the picture at the same line as the painting, and it's actually angled in, so it's perpendicular to my view. So that's the best way to have your image, because it's hard enough to get things right, and if you got the picture at some odd angle, then you're creating distortions that you really don't want to have. So this MDF, 3mm MDF, is very, very smooth. And with my technique of painting very, very thinly, moving fast in that first 3-hour session, painting very, very thinly on a smooth surface, it'll be dry enough so for as soon as tomorrow to actually continue working. So as you can see, I'm just sort of kind of getting a general, very rough view at this stage of the image. And my painting technique is a process of gradual refinement. So do the big shapes. Here's the big shape, and gradually refine it in that 3-hour period. The other thing I like about MDF, it's already got a mid-tone. You know, you can almost see the face straight away, and I've done virtually nothing. So it's really good from that perspective. Okay. Let's start doing a few of these other shapes. So just think about them as being shapes. So there's a shape up here that goes around there. I mean, it might end up that the shape's in totally the wrong spot, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do the shape. So this is a combination of that bright red, titanium white, and bit of black, and the red. Right, so the light source is coming from here, right there, under the chin, so slightly down, must be slightly down. So the Zorn palette, designed by some guy called Zorn, obviously, and I think he designed it for painting portraits. Right, let's just go for straight white over here. It's not going to end up like that, but let's just put it on anyway, because I want to get a feeling for the shape of that. She's got high cheekbones, as Catherine. Is it Catherine? Catherine. It's difficult to know the age of. I find it difficult. Well, I'll be 71 this year, and everyone looks 12 to me these days. But I guess that Catherine is maybe 35, 38. I hope I'm not upsetting her. I use my fingers a hell of a lot. If you're an oil painter, fingers, your index finger is your best tool. Now, your painting is as good as what you can see. If you don't see anything, if you don't see properly, then you can't paint properly. Right, she's got a distinctive arch down there. It's very easy to get the eyes skewiff, so that's something you need to watch. Don't forget the sides of the face. It's very easy. People tend to forget the sides of the face. The eyes don't suddenly just appear and dominate the whole of the face. So there's a highlight up here, and then she's got that sort of forehead where there's a bit of a dome. So as I said before, I haven't painted very much this year because I've been feeling kind of depressed, and I think it turns out that I haven't been depressed, I've just had high blood pressure. So I started to do some bike rides, and hopefully that's going to fix up that problem. So painting this is a bit of therapy for me. Right, okay. Let's start. Okay, so that was using this brush. I've used the big brush. I'm now going to the smaller brush. So let's okay, the only thing I won't do with the Zorn palette is I shall add a touch of blue for the eye. Right, this eyebrow ends at the corner of the nose. This one is a bit in from the corner of the nose, and it's a bit higher in the image, and then it kind of goes there, and then it wraps around the face like that, and let's darken that up a bit. And there's that lid that goes around there like that. The fold there's a fold of skin that just goes slightly over the upper lid. Right, the corner of the eye is just in from the corner of the nose, which is the corner of the nose, I'm guessing, is there. I'll probably find I've made the nose too big or something, but hey, that's life. Right, the nostril goes around like that, and this other nostril is kind of, you just see a small amount of it over there. The nose goes around there like that. There's a bit of a shadow over here, and right, okay, let me concentrate on that eye. So I'll need to go to a smaller brush. She's got her eye really widely open. The corner of that eye is in line with, let me just make a suggestion. The nostril there, the corner of the eye ends there. Now this eye is more closed than the other eye, so it appears to be slightly lower. The fold is coming down further. So it's probably going to end up looking nothing like her, but then I never guaranteed that to start with, so I'm fine. Right, okay. How's it looking? Does it look like her? Even a little bit. It looks a little bit like her. She's got a strong chin. I like strong chins. She's got a dimple over here. And then it gets darker over there. The pupil. Right. Okay, I've gone to a smaller brush now. Because, as I said, it's a process of gradual refinement. Go away, people. So, let's just... I'm still using very thin paint. That comes down there, something like that. I'll just do a suggestion of those. The good thing about painting like this is if you see a mistake, it's very easy to fix it up. Because you can just get a rag and rub it off. So she really does, you can almost see the entire pupil. I've got to make sure the pupil is the same size. Right, as I said, this is a very washed out picture, so you can't see a lot of detail around there. Now her nose comes down to quite a point. Right, this goes more like that. There's a distinct shadow going around here. One of the key things is, of course, the shape of the inside shape of the mouth. That really does define the shape of the lips. Right, her lower lip is kind of slightly hanging over there. Have I made that gap too big, too small? Nose too big, too small? Let's review all these various shapes again. That's more like that, goes around there like that. There's a central bit in the middle, comes down there. That comes down there like that. Look at that gap there. So my eyes are going from one to the other. I'm looking at the gap there between there and there. So you've got to use all these little clues that you can. And then the hair heads off. What I do a lot of, because it's very effective, is I use sgraffito. And I was contemplating doing a hell of a lot to get that blonde look, that dirty blonde look. I was thinking about doing a hell of a lot. And I'm using the back of the brush. Right, okay. Let's get down to some more nitty gritty. Because I'm using the Zorn palette, you can't get the exact colours that you want. But you can get pretty close. Now, my mouth seems to be slightly lower over this side. There's a bit of redness over here, coming over here, and this darkness heads over there quite a lot. And it's pretty dark over here. Let's get some more dark. Quite dark over here. Now, of course, I mean, the colours that I'm seeing are what my printer has reproduced. So, if I want to make any changes, from that I might review the picture on the computer where the colours, one would imagine, are more accurate. And I could use my artistic license to change them as I feel fit. See how I'm using my fingers to just blend that in. It's quite a strong shadow there. And it comes down here. Got a bit of white on that, so I don't want that. And it comes around here. Um, darken that up a bit. I seem to be very popular today for some inexplicable reason. Right, I tend to over-exaggerate the chin because I've got a big chin. I like big chins. So maybe that needs to come in a bit there. This line needs to be more defined, come over there a bit. This is darker around here. Right, so let's do some whites, approximation of whites. And just for the hell of it, let's get a little bit of blue. Bluey, greeny, whatever the colour is. I can't really see it that well. I'm just resting my finger on the board, Normally I'd use a mile stick, I just can't be bothered. But I'm enjoying myself, which is what it's all about, isn't it? And just for the hell of it, why not? So, you know, it's all about contrast. And the contrast also means highlights. Because highlights are extreme contrast. Right, okay, so I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I so like doing the highlights. That shouldn't be blue. Good thing about this technique is if you make a mistake, you rub it out. So the skin tone is mainly yellow ochre. And what I do is I smear. Because the paint is very thin, it blends very easily. I mean, you might think some of these colours, some of these highlights are over the top. Now, there's very little of the upper lid showing on this side. Oh shit. So in this short time, I'm getting a feel for how the painting is progressing. And what I tend to do is work very fast. Well, I regard this as very fast. And then I stand back, maybe for days, for as long as it takes, to check because quite often you find you've totally buggered it up. You've made the nose huge, the proportions are all wrong. But by working fast, it trains you. It concentrates the mind. You're training yourself to really look. Right, I will use the a mile stick. What have we got on there? A dark colour. Right, there's obviously lots of things wrong with this, but as long as you know what you've done wrong, as long as you know what needs to be fixed up, that's not an issue. Right, there's a darkness that goes around here that defines the shape of the eyeball, and there's some darkness that comes around here, and of course there's some darkness in there, and some darkness that goes around there. Now I don't know if that is too big. Too broad. This eye is way too big. This eye is not big enough. But all of these are little problems that you can that you fix up. If you see them, you can fix them up. And I think it just looks this goes off into darkness over here, and this lid wraps around more. And that makes it look bigger. This needs major surgery, I think. Maybe. I don't know. I'm standing too close. I should really have a brush with light paint on and a brush with dark paint on, but I haven't. I'm being very slack. What's that like? Okay. So we've put a little bit of yellow ochre in there. Give some interest to the eye. I'm not going to be too hung up at this stage. This is just an exercise. With this video. Okay, for the purposes of Facebook, that's probably pretty close to all I want to do, really. It's just a quick demo, really, of an oil painting. Like this, there's quite a highlight there. There's a highlight along the top of the nostril. There's a more subtle one round here that I won't do at this stage. But I think you get an idea. Oops. You get an idea of how to proceed, I think. And there's a distinctive highlight along here. And there's a highlight there. And there's a great big highlight over here. But because it's a washed out photograph, I really can't see what the hell's going on. So I'm using my imagination. I've never had so many calls. Okay, well, I don't know how long I've spent on this, but and I will continue with it. But for this exercise, which is really to bloody black, which is to show really that it's contrast that actually makes a painting buzz, in my view. That eye's terrible. I need to fix those bottom lids, but at this stage I'm not going to do that. So let's get some more definition along here, and that'll be it for this video. She's got a very high cheekbone, comes down here, and then I possibly made her chin too big. Right, okay. I shall continue, but let's get this. Let's get this up on Facebook.